Speaking of lies against the Haitian community, Dana Fash actually cooked up JD Vance and gutted him, okay? Pitted his ass, and we're going to watch that. In this interview, you are going to hear JD Vance openly admit that he just lies. Like, he just deliberately lies about immigrants, okay?
51 days from the election, and together with their running mates,
It's
Vice
fucking
President
psychotic, and it's not even going to make a blip because Donald Trump got shot at again. At this point, it's like JD Vance going to come out next week and be like, I'm a white supremacist. I love the Klan, and I think we should start killing black people. And then Trump's going to get shot at again, and people are going to forget. You know? He didn't even get shot at, but you know what I mean. Every time JD Vance says some shit, Trump gets an assassination attempt on his ass. What the fuck is going on?
Harris and former President Donald Trump are focusing on the states that will decide the next president, with the race apparently deadlocked after what could be the only Harris-Trump debate. But Donald Trump is also doubling down on a baseless claim that he made at the debate, that Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, are eating people's pets. Local officials and the state's Republican governor say there is absolutely no evidence of that claim, and they are warning it is actually hurting their city. Springfield, Ohio, is facing a fourth day of threats over the claims that have forced a college, hospitals, and schools to lock down. Meanwhile, Springfield police say they received 2 calls about Proud Boys marching through the city. Here's how Donald Trump responded to the controversy over Haitians who, I want to note, are in the U.S. legally.
I don't know what happened with the bomb threats. I know that it's been taken over by illegal migrants, and that's a terrible thing that happened. Springfield was this beautiful town, and now they're going through hell.
Here with me now is Republican Vice Presidential nominee JD Vance, who represents Ohio in the U.S. Senate. Thank you for being here, sir. So the mayor of Springfield, Ohio, Rob Rue, said, quote, all these federal politicians that have negatively spun our city, they need to know they're hurting our city, and it was their words that did it. Before Donald Trump talked about eating dogs and cats on a debate stage, it was you, Senator, who first elevated this baseless rumor. These are your constituents. So why are you putting them at risk by continuing to spread claims about Haitian immigrants, despite officials in your state saying that there's no evidence and pleading for you to stop?
Well, Dana, first of all, what's putting the residents of Springfield at risk, which was a town completely ignored by the American media until Donald Trump and I started surfacing some of these concerns, is that they can't afford housing, they can't afford health care. The schools have been overwhelmed, the hospitals have been overwhelmed.
I wonder whose fault that is in the fucking state of Ohio. I wonder who's at fault in the red state of Ohio, plus 35 for Governor Mike DeWine, Republican Governor Mike DeWine, the state that you were a senator of as a Republican, the state that went to Donald Trump by plus 10 points. I wonder who is at fault for Springfield, Ohio, being in an absolute state of fucking disrepair. It must be the Haitian migrants or the Democratic Party. What is going on? You are the senator from the state of Ohio, you fucking idiot. Why are you like, Ohio's dog shit? It fucking sucks. It is the worst state of all time. It is in a dire state of disrepair. Nothing works there. I hate it. I hate it so much. Oh, wait, I'm the fucking senator from that state. I am directly responsible for its sucking dog dick. I'm so stupid for saying the state that I'm a senator of actually fucking sucks, because it's my fault that it fucking sucks, because I don't do anything to help them. But they're so stupid, they voted for me because they're stupid. They're stupid and racist in Ohio. That's why they voted for me. I'm stupid and racist. I'm a stupid, racist guy, and I fucking hate the people of Ohio. That's basically what you said. Okay? Thank you, Senator Jedediah Donaldson Vance, Senator from Ohio.
Overwhelmed, and they're overwhelmed because Kamala Harris allowed 20,000 Haitian migrants to get dropped into a small Ohio town of about 40,000 people, and it's completely overwhelmed the services. Now, you ask, why have I talked about some of the things that I've been talking about? Let me just say this. My constituents have brought approximately a dozen separate concerns to me. 10 of them are verifiable and confirmable, and a couple of them I talk about because my constituents are telling me firsthand that they're seeing these things. So I have two options, Dana. I can ignore them, which is what the American media has done for years to this community, or I can actually talk about what people are telling me. And of course, many of the things that the media says are completely baseless have since been confirmed. For example, I was told, Dana, that by the American media that it was based.
Yeah, also, it is a lie. Their tax revenue literally increased by 33% year over year since the fucking Haitians moved in the town, because now they have active workers in the goddamn town for all of the jobs that needed workers. So he's such a piece of shit.
Baseless that migrants were capturing the geese from the local park pond and eating them. And yet there are 911 calls from.
Yeah, by the way, like, honestly, Daily Caller's former Daily Caller news anchor, Caitlin, whatever the fuck her name is, actually ripped JD Vance such a fucking good one in the spin room in the immediate aftermath of the debate, where she was like, okay, constituents will fucking call you and tell you Bigfoot is real. Are you going to fucking sit here and tell us Bigfoot is real in Ohio, dumb fuck? That was such a good take from Caitlin Collins, who used to work for the Daily Caller, which is it's Tucker Carlson's Daily Wire, okay? Daily Wire is Ben Shapiro's operation. Tucker Carlson's operation was the Daily Caller. Caitlin Collins, who is now at CNN, used to work there. The Daily Caller is so insane that they used to make compilations of people running over protesters in pickup trucks. That is the website that she worked for. Okay? That is the website that she worked for before working at CNN. The Daily Caller had to delete all of their running over protesters compilations after a fucking Nazi ran over a counter protester by the name of Heather Heyer in Charlottesville. They had to delete those videos because they realized, we're kind of celebrating, people murdering people. We're kind of celebrating domestic terrorism. Many people forgot. I have not, because I have that kind of autism in my head. Anyway, let's get back to JD fucking Vance.
Well before this ever became a viral sensation of people complaining about that exact thing happening. So my attitude is, listen to my constituents. Sometimes they're going to say things that people don't like, but they're saying things that people don't like because their town has been overwhelmed, and it's my job to try to fight for them and to protect them. Kamala Harris opened the border, and now these people are suffering. That's what I'm focused on, Dana.
Senator, I have to go through several things that you just said. First of all, the Clark County Sheriff and the Ohio Department of Natural Resources reviewed 11 months of 911 calls. They only identified 2 instances of people alleging Haitians were taking geese out of parks. They found 0 evidence to substantiate those claims. Also, other evidence that you have talked about, even you've retweeted alleged evidence.
Yeah, by the way, the Haitians are his constituents as well. Okay? I need you to understand something. He is a senator in the state of Ohio. Those Haitians are refugees with temporary protected status. Okay? They have paperwork. They are not illegal immigrants. That is a lie. Even if they were, it wouldn't matter because they're still fucking human beings, but they're not even illegal. Okay? They literally are tax-paying, legal, documented immigrants. Okay? Now, technically, they can't vote for him, but it doesn't change the reality that there's still his fucking constituents. Children can't vote. Do you think children are not JD Vance's constituents? Is JD Vance going around? Okay, well, maybe he is going around saying that children should be able to vote, or at least their parents should be able to vote. And also, he probably wants them to get to work anyway. But like, he would never openly say that children are not my constituents. Actually, he might, because he's really bad at politics. And as a person who's really bad at politics, I could totally see him saying that with a straight face. Anyway.
Are unsourced social media videos from a different city, apparently no connection to Haitians. And this is from a conservative activist who offered a $5,000 reward for such things. And then going just backly to the schools and the hospitals and so forth being overwhelmed. Nobody is disputing that the town of Springfield, Ohio needs help. But you're not just a bystander. You're the senator from Ohio.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, my God. Thank you, Dana Fash. Exactly. You're the senator of Ohio, the state that you just said is dog shit and needs desperate help. God, he's so fucking stupid. How is he so bad? It actually blows my mind how bad he is. You aren't Trump, little bro. Only Trump gets to go and visit these fucking places and be like, you people are dirty and disgusting. And they go, hell yes, brother, you're so right. We are dirty and disgusting. You don't get to do that. You don't have that charisma.
Instead of saying things that are wrong and actually causing the hospitals, the schools, the government buildings to be evacuated because of bomb threats, because of the cats and dogs thing, why not actually be constructive in helping to better integrate them into the community? Because there are a lot of employers there who say that the Haitian workers are helping fill jobs that they need desperately filled.
Dana, first of all, let me just respond to a couple of things that you said, but I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist than it is for an American journalist. There is no
Yo, that was...
To a couple of things that you said, but I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist than it is for an American journalist. There is nothing that I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals. These hospitals, the bomb threats and so forth, it's disgusting. The violence is disgusting. We condemn it. We condemn all violence.
Senator, this happened after you and President Trump were
Dana,
He always looks like a German boy whose lollipop fell on the ground and is covered by ants. I don't know how else to describe JD Vance. Like, he just has that, like, typical, like, 60s, 70s, like, German child look to him. Mein Lolli! Oh, mein Gott! Mein Lollipoppen! Doesn't he look like that? I'm Daddy's little boy. I'm Daddy's little boy. How could this have happened to me? Mein Lolli. It is disgusting. Yeah. That's him, especially without the beard.
On the debate stage said
Dana,
that cats and dogs
you
were
asked,
being eaten.
You asked a question, Dana, and I'm going to go ahead and answer.
It's funny because it's like, it's funny because like the question is so simple. It's like, 0 bomb threats are happening in the city of Springfield. You lie about Haitians overtaking the city of Springfield and eating cats and dogs. Then the bomb threats start coming in. Springfield city officials say these bomb threats are happening because the Republicans have placed an inappropriate amount of attention on our city by claiming that Haitians are doing all this. Everybody knows what's going on. And he's like, how dare you? You are disgusting. You are disgusting for saying the truth. Why would you say the truth directly to my face? I am a little boy whose lolly has fallen on the ground and is covered with ants. And here you are being disgusting about this. Okay? Give me a new lolly now.
Answer it.
After that, they were
what we have said is that this town has suffered terribly under the policies of Kamala Harris. Now, you just accused me of inciting violence against the community when all that I've done is surface the complaints of my constituents, people.
Yeah, Dana should ask, like, don't you think the Haitians are also your constituents? Like, they're taxpayers, they're on TPS, they're working in the fucking factories. Like, just ask him that question. He's going to say no. But it's good to have that on the record.
People who are suffering because of Kamala Harris's policies. Are we not allowed to talk about these problems because some psychopaths are threatening violence? We can condemn the violence on the one hand, but also talk about the terrible consequences of Kamala Harris's open border on the other hand. Now, let me just fact check a couple of other things that you said, Dana, because it's important. You said that all of these migrants are in the country legally. They are in the country through what's called temporary protective status.
Right.
That is when Kamala Harris waved a magic amnesty wand.
Oh, so he does know that they're illegal. Okay. Wait, no, wait, I'm sorry. You know, Trump did that too, right? Like to the Venezuelans specifically. So it's kind of weird that he's like, Donald Trump is so funny because he directly caused this massive influx of Venezuelans escaping Venezuela by accelerating the sanctions regime on Venezuela with that purpose, by the way. They wanted to make the economy scream, and they did. So people ran away. And then Donald Trump also offered the Venezuelan migrants temporary protected status. The reason for why he did that is because that's what every American government has done. It's a classic State Department play. You try to destroy a country, and the migrants that escape that country, you offer them TPS. We did it with the Cubans, with the hopes that like we have an outsized anti-whatever country that is population living here, so that inevitably we can use that population here. Well, it's good for cheap labor too, but it's also specifically so that we can use those people that are now here against whichever country that we want to fuck even further, right? Like, if you ask most Cuban voters what to do with Cuba, they will say unhinged shit like bomb it and destroy it, nuke the island, and give it to us afterwards. You don't have to look any further than the motherfucking mayor of Miami, who is of Cuban descent, who literally said this, by the way. Okay? So that's what they did with the TPS for the Venezuelan migrants, because they were like, well, they're leaving the country. They hate Maduro. We can use these guys against Venezuela down the line. Except now you're like, they're all criminal rapists, drug dealer, gangsters who are taking over the apartment complexes. These Venezuelans that we gave temporary protected status to, that we literally fucking like forced out of Venezuela with our insane sanctions. Those guys are now the rapists that we brought into the country and gave TPS to. It doesn't make any sense. And it's not supposed to. Those guys are fucking, like, the Republicans are pieces of shit. And they're assholes. And they're racist. Also, now they're illegal, even though we gave them TPS.
Taking people and giving them legal status. That is not to say that they're here legally. That is a terrible indictment of her amnesty policies that have further opened the border and further caused terrible migration into this country.
You might not agree with the policy, and obviously you don't, which is totally fair and legitimate. There are policy disagreements all the time. But the fact is, it is the law because
No,
President
Dana,
Biden
the point
and
is,
Vice
Dana,
President Harris are. But I don't want to frankly go down this conversation about policy
Dana,
because
you made a point. You don't. I agree. You don't want to talk about policy.
No,
Dana,
what I
want to
talk about, what I want to talk about,
instead of about the fact
Senator,
that Kamala
it was
Harris,
your
Dana,
distraction.
granted amnesty.
You were the
at
one
a
who
mass
started
level.
talking
She
about
granted
eating
amnesty
dogs
at a
and
mass
cats.
level.
You were the one who
Dana,
brought this
my
up.
constituents
The president
were the
said
ones
it to
who talked about
60
eating
million
dog and
people.
cats, and I talked about it because you were ignoring this community. My constituents talked about
Have
it.
you
and
been
it is
to
my
Springfield?
responsibility to surface their.
Oh my God. He's like, yeah, I made it up, dude. Sorry. Like, I made it up. He straight up said, and this is Sam Stein earlier in the interview, if I have to create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do.
Their concerns when the American media
Have you been to
ignores it.
Springfield?
Dana, I've been to Springfield probably 100 times in my life.
How about
I've taken my
recently,
children
since
to
you've
get
heard
ice
this?
cream at Young's Jersey Dairy.
Have you heard recently since you've
I been
gotten
in the
these
last
calls?
Have I been in the last 4 days?
No,
no,
I'm
I haven't
talking
been
about
in the last 4 days, but I've
since
talked
you've
to a lot
gotten
of
these
people
calls
in
from the
Springfield, Dana,
constituents.
and they're telling me this stuff is happening. Dana, would you like to ask me questions and then let me answer them, or would you like to debate me on these topics? I noticed that when you had Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, you gave them multiple choice answers.
And no one is even trying to assassinate Biden and Kamala. This man is a defense contractor. Fuck it. Let's put the CIA in there too. At Barack Obama. He might delete it. I hope they do. I hope he does. That'd be really cool if he did.
To the questions that you asked, and you allowed them to answer the questions. I'm happy to be here to talk about policy, but if you're going to interrupt me every single time that I open my mouth, then why am I even doing this? So please ask a.
Yeah, JD doesn't understand the Trump playbook. You don't legitimize insane conspiracies by admitting they're false. You have to keep pretending they're true. Wait, did he delete it? Shut the fuck up. Did he actually delete it? You're lying. He didn't delete it. You guys debated me. Why would you debate me at the top of the hour when there's a 3-minute ad break coming for you? That's the real debate. Because at the top of the hour, there's a 3-minute ad break. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe. For $6, even though it's 30% off, or for free with a Twitch Prime. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. You can also get gifted a sub if you're lucky.
Question, and I'd ask you to be polite enough to let me answer it.
Yes, I am, and I think that if Kamala Harris and Tim Walz were making unsubstantiated claims that had racist undertones about people eating dogs and cats, I would, and they.
People in the comments saying this will be used against you. I don't give a fuck. Also, I'm joking. You think I meant like literally FBI, get this man? Like you think. Anyway, let's continue.
They didn't answer the questions about that, then I would have similar interactions with them. As you know, I am very grateful that you come on the show, as I am for other Republicans. But this is something that you're hearing from constituents. I did a lot of reporting. I talked to people in Ohio over the weekend, and they're really worried about these claims. The policies, yes, I am agreeing with you that what I heard is that there is concern that these migrants, there's a lot of them, and the integration isn't being done fast enough and well enough.
Why would you cave on that?
Aiden.
That's so dumb. God, Dana Fash, you suck.
Clark, who is an 11-year-old boy who was killed in Springfield last year. It was a car accident involving a Haitian immigrant. You said that he was murdered. His father said that's not true. It was an accident. Here's what he said to you.
Politicians, Bernie Moreno, Chip Roy, JD Vance, and Donald Trump, they have spoken my son's name and used his death for political gain. This needs to stop now. They are not allowed, nor have they ever been allowed to mention Aiden Clark from Springfield, Ohio. I will listen to them one more time to hear their apologies.
Senator, he's asking for you to apologize. Will you?
Dana, first of all, my heart goes out to the Clark family, and I don't bring their son's name up because they've clearly expressed a preference for politicians to not bring their son's name up. I wish them all the best. I can't believe what kind of a tragedy they've experienced, but I'm still going to keep on talking about what the migrants have done.
Dude, that's crazy. That dude called you out by name. That's a constituent, 100%. He's white, okay? He's a white man whose white child died in a fucking car accident, okay? You used his child's death to continue lying about Haitians that are also your constituents, but you don't care about them because they're black, okay? That is a demonic way to approach the subject matter. He's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck about the dad. I don't give a fuck about that dad, bro. RIP to your son, but I'm going to keep using it to, like, you know, hopefully do some pogroms on the Haitians in Ohio.
Done to Springfield, Ohio. And what
Vance is not bright, but he's ex-military, which I think in Trump's mind is important. Sounds like a plan in motion. First of all, JD Vance is a Marine, okay? And if you know anything about the American military, putting a former Marine in a position of power is probably the dumbest thing you can do, okay? And you don't have to look any further than how stupid this idea was. Just look at this interview. He is probably right outside of frame looking for his crayons, his emotional support crayons to chew on as Dana Bash is chewing his ass. Okay?
what Kamala Harris's open border has done to Springfield, Ohio. And Dana, I think this illustrates the entire contrast between how we're trying to go about this debate and how a lot of the Democrats are trying to go about this debate. They're talking about 12 Proud Boys marching in Springfield, Ohio. They're talking about the frankly fake debunkings of a lot of these stories that are out there. I'm talking to my constituents and I'm hearing terrible things about what's going on in Springfield, and Kamala Harris's open border policies have caused these problems. The hospitals are overwhelmed, Dana. The schools are overwhelmed. The local services are completely overwhelmed. You have people who can't afford housing. Homelessness has gone up. Murders are up by 81% because of what Kamala Harris has allowed to happen to this small community. I'm going to keep on talking about that. Now, of course, we can criticize violence. We can also still talk about the problems that are happening.
Criticize violence, bro. It was a car accident. Why does he keep repeating her name every other sentence? Because he's trying to do the media training. Like, that's it.
In Springfield, and we should be able to do both those things simultaneously, Dana.
Just once and for all, you again started this in part by saying that, at which Donald Trump repeated on the debate stage, that, and he didn't say anything about the policies that you're talking about. He just said Haitians are eating dogs and cats. Can you affirmatively say now that that is a rumor that has no basis with evidence?
Dana, the evidence is the first-hand account of my constituents who are telling me that this happened. And by the way, I've been trying to talk about the problems in Springfield for months, and the American media ignored it. There was a congressional hearing just last week of angel moms who lost children because Kamala Harris let criminal migrants into this country who then murdered their children. The American media...
He sounds like a bot, dude. I think he's repeated it like, what, fucking 5 times in the last 3 minutes? That's weird. He sounds like a fucking robot.
Media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to,
But it
if
wasn't
I have
just a
to
meme, sir.
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. You had one interview with her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said
We
that
ought
you're
to be
creating
talking
a
about
story.
public policy.
Sir, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You just said that this is a story that you.
Let's run it back. That he alludes to it multiple times throughout the interview, but that right there, cinema. Dana, my lolly. My lolly is on the ground, Dana. Why won't you be nice to me? My lolly, Dana. There are ants on my lolly.
Because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris, people start talking to their children, and because Kamala Harris let criminal migrants into this country who then murdered their children. The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to,
But it
if
wasn't
I have
just a
to
meme, sir.
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. You had one interview with her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said
We
that
ought
you're
to be
creating
talking
a
about
story.
public policy.
Sir, you just said that you're creating the story.
That's so awesome. Dude, it's over. It's fucking Jover. It's Jover, dude. He hit the reset. He hit the reset button. He just rebooted, dude. He went, bro. He went.
On the Inflation Reduction Act,
Look.
which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said
We
that
ought
you're
to be
creating
talking
a
about
story.
public policy.
Sir, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You just said that this is a story that you
Yes.
created. So the eating dogs and cats thing is not.
We are
accurate.
creating. We are. Dana, it comes from firsthand accounts from my constituents. I say that we're creating a story, meaning we're creating the American media focusing on it. I didn't create 20.
A lot of people don't know what that noise is. Maybe many of you do because there's 30 plus in here, but like we used to hear that shit, okay?
1,000 illegal migrants coming into Springfield thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. Her policies did that.
Don't let him get away with that. Ask him again. Why did you say you created stories? You just admitted that you created these stories.
But yes, we created the actual focus that allowed the American media to talk about this story and the suffering caused by Kamala Harris's policies.
Do you condemn the Proud Boys, even if it's just 12, even if it's just one marching in Springfield?
Dana, I condemn all white supremacists. I'm obviously not. I'm married to a non-white person. I don't like these people, but I think that we have to keep our focus not on 12 marchers going down the street, but on the fact that thousands of residents have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's policy. I find that.
Bro, you can say Kamala Harris's policy all day, every day. That right there is so Jover, dude. It's so fucking Jover.
This very unusual, Dana, that the American media is more interested in a bunch of losers marching down the street than they are in the fact that Kamala Harris has made these people's lives worse. I'm not talking about 12 Proud Boys. I'm talking about 40,000 residents, 40,000 constituents of mine, many of whom can't afford housing and food because of Kamala Harris's open border. That is what I want to focus the media's attention on. We're going to keep on doing it because I think the American people deserve a government that puts their interests first. And can I make just one more final point about this, Dana?
Yes, please.
You've heard a lot of the media focusing on every possible distraction from the story in Springfield. You've heard them focus on these Proud Boys marches. You've heard just in this interview, Dana, the suggestion that because some psychopath is calling in a bomb threat, somehow we have to then ignore 40,000 Springfieldians
That's not what
who
I
are
suggested.
having their lives worsened by Kamala Harris's policies. Well, what is the implication, Dana? I actually love to have this conversation right now live on air.
Right.
What is the implication when you say you calling out these problems has caused a bomb threat? You accused me of causing a bomb threat. Doesn't that mean you should shut up about the residents of Springfield? Don't you realize you're engaged in basic propaganda?
Look at this. Look, these people are just comically evil, says Nate Hochman, who you might not know his name, but I do because political autism. Nate Hochman is the Nazi staffer on the Ron DeSantis campaign who was fired for being a Nazi. Now, before people say, well, he's Jewish, yes, he is. He also is a Nazi. Nate Hochman is the Nazi staffer on the Ron DeSantis campaign that made the campaign video where he put a Nazi image on it. This one in particular, the Black Sun. I'm not making any emotional argument here. It's just kind of a matter of fact. This guy's a Nazi weirdo given this. This was the Black Sun imagery that the Nazi staffer Nate Hochman put on the Ron DeSantis, on the Ron DeSantis promo video. Okay. Cassie Pritchard responds as, it's a fender bender, dude. Jesus Christ. Car accidents have been one of the deadliest since the effects of illegal Haitian immigration. People come here who can't drive and it's killing people. You want to do genocide because of a fender bender, you will not see heaven. Genocide is warranted if you can't even live in a fucking civilized society without causing deaths. You are subhuman. They're saying genocide is warranted over a fender bender story that the New York Post chose to cover. I believe it was Caroline, friend of the show, who posted that there's 6 million car accidents that occur in the United States. Okay? Is the New York Post covering all of them? Of course not. Why did the New York Post choose to cover this minor fender bender that did not cause any injuries that happened to be in Springfield, Ohio? Do we know why the New York Post chose to cover this? Because Springfield, Ohio is not in New York. Why did New York Post cover it? It's because they're fucking racist and they also want to incite a race riot. That's the reason. Okay?
To
I was-
silence the concerns of American citizens?
I was
Please.
quoting the actual mayor of Springfield, Ohio, begging after the bomb threats, begging federal.
Yeah, the thing you're failing to understand is that white people don't get into car crashes is the funniest thing to say about Ohio too. Because like famously, the Midwest is, I don't know how this is even possible because Florida and California exist, but famously the Midwest is some of the worst states for car accidents. Which is why it makes it even funnier that they're like, oh, these goddamn Haitians are doing car accidents. Like, they're accusing Haitian people of duck hunting and car accidents. Okay? It's like complaining that Haitians drink too much beer. Okay? These are things that you do. Okay? If it was even true That would mean that they have assimilated. Are you going to be like, these goddamn Haitians are hunting deer next? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Officials, you, to please stop putting negative attention on his city. And I'm not talking about the policies. I'm not talking about
No, I know the duck was roadkill. I know.
the very real challenges that Springfield has. I'm talking about baseless rumors about Haitians eating dogs and cats. And that, after that was said on a debate stage, that is when these bomb threats started. And that is a fact. Senator, I just want to move on. I have two other quick issues separate from this that I want to talk to you about.
Dana,
go ahead.
Again,
please go ahead.
I think this is actually an important conversation.
Okay.
Look, the Springfield mayor, he's dealing with a lot of terrible things.
I know the duck guy was not Haitian, chat. I know. I covered it yesterday. The duck guy was not in Springfield. He was working for Ohio Wildlife. He was an American citizen who happens to be black, who was carrying 2 geese that were killed, and they were roadkill. Okay? I know. I know that. Just like another American pastime is fucking grilling meat. Republicans are now finding footage of black people grilling meat, or sometimes not even black people grilling meat, just like they'll zoom in to just the grilling part and be like, they're grilling dogs and cats. Like, I'm telling you, it's insane.
Sympathize with the guy, and we're going to try to help him out. But he did not accuse me of inciting a bomb threat. He just didn't. And if we're going to take the firsthand accounts of people who are on the ground in Springfield, why don't you bring on some of the people on your program who say that the migrants are eating their pets? You're applying a double standard here. You're saying if one person accuses JD Vance, I'm going to take that person's word as the gospel truth,
you have somebody
even
whose
if you
name
misrepresent it. If you have another person who's saying they're eating the cats, you're going to completely ignore them, attack them, silence them, and harass.
Yeah, because it's fake. What do you mean? Why don't you just like... Oh my God. It's fake. He's literally complaining. He's complaining that like you're not giving credence to a fake story that I'm trying to fucking present. And instead doing actual journalism, investigating the matter further, and finding out that it's fucking bullshit because I didn't even try hard enough to come up with a good enough lie that is racist. Okay? Because I'm far too comfortable with the shitty lies that I make up because Republicans are so fucking dumb that like they believe the dumbest racist lies at this point.
Harass them. That double standard is why the people don't trust the media and why we're not talking about public policy 51 days out from a presidential election.
Okay, if you
if you want to talk about public policy, stop fucking lying, dumbass.
have somebody you want to tell us about who has proof that somebody ate their cat, of course we want to hear that. We certainly have had no evidence that that is actually something that happened. And I just want to say, I have not accused you of anything. I am quoting the mayor who said, after these bomb threats, federal politicians are negatively spinning our city. They need to know they are hurting our city. It was their words that did it. Okay? That I'm quoting him, and it seems to be a
Dana,
cause and effect.
Roll the tape. You just accused me of inciting a bomb threat. There's no evidence of this. I condemn violence and threats of violence. We should be able to do that and also still talk about what's going on in Springfield.
I'm glad to hear that you condemn it. That is very important. We had a lot of other issues to get to, but I really hope that you do come back so we can talk about other issues. Senator, thank you so much.
I think one of the funniest aspects of this situation that's like obviously objectively not funny and is kind of terrifying really is the the very real fact that the guy that recently dropped out of the race and endorsed Donald Trump for president and is actively trying to get himself off of the fucking off of the voter ballots, specifically so that Donald Trump can win potentially the election, had a very public news cycle about how he actually ate a dog. Okay? This is after the news cycle where he carried a bear carcass and left it in the middle of Central Park, and yet another news cycle after how he cut off the head of a beached whale and also put that on top of his car and trafficked it across state lines. Like, it's not the Haitians, dog. It's RFK. Like, what are we? I mean, that's white supremacy right there, for the record, okay? Sorry, you can call me a fucking lib all day, but that is literally white supremacy, okay? That's what this is. When a white guy does it, you don't give a fuck, okay? And then you have to fantasize about a black dude doing it when he isn't doing it. That's how this shit works.